So I assume Charles will keep taking his shots.
Call him out. Well, we know I hate Skip Bayless.
This damn idiot would cherish working with you.
I didn't think it would get to this point. I didn't think things were this bad for Skip Bayless. And I kind of got an idea once we saw Skip and Shannon eventually split up. I didn't think it was to this extent. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! The NFL and NBA season are officially over, and I need something to hold me over until at least the NFL season comes back. So I've been playing prize picks for the WNBA and the MLB, and I've been fairly successful. It's a good way to get some extra action on games that I wouldn't really watch otherwise. I post my picks onto my Instagram story daily, and I've been hitting on a decent amount of them. And right now, when you use my promo code Mikerophone, they'll double your deposit up to $100. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? We've been covering the breakup between Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe in depth ever since it happened. And even prior to it happening, we discussed why these two would split up in the first place. At this point, you may be familiar with some of the disagreements Skip and Shannon had on their show. Whether it was the lighthearted one they had about a year ago over Baker Mayfield.
Mayfield is dead last in 2022 in QBR.
Blah, blah,
He's
blah.
dead last. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. You gonna let me talk? Because that's what you do.
If you'll stay on point on question.
You never stay on point.
Okay, I'm about to stay on point. Tell me when it's my turn.
It's not your turn.
Okay.
Or Skip going a little bit too far in regards to Shannon Sharpe's career when he quite literally compared him to Tom Brady.
This is just straight hate by a guy who's jealous that he's still playing at a high level at 45. That's the point.
That's what you do. Every time I call something in question, I'm jealous. I did what I
never
did.
said you were jealous of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I did what I did. You make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame. Super Bowl.
So what?
So what?
Things really hit the fan when Skip Bayless tweeted out what some people thought was a very insensitive tweet in regards to the Damar Hamlin situation, which resulted in Shannon Sharpe no-showing Undisputed the next day.
If you'd like to tweet us your emotions of the night about what happened, please do so. You can tweet us at Undisputed. The last thing we want to do is offend anyone by trying to do what we always do, which is talk about sports. Obviously, my partner Shannon Sharpe is not here today. I look forward to seeing him tomorrow.
And then when he did show up for Undisputed, well, Skip Bayless would interrupt him during his opening monologue.
Anybody have to be revived and fight for their life on the field. So they struck me a little differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field temporarily, and he was able to regain focus. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down.
I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go. Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting
Okay.
me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
well, I thought-
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up this.
I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue, not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
And a lot of people thought that this was the main reason why Skip and Shannon broke up. And I've said that I had a completely different theory in regards to this in the past. I thought it was a combination of the fact that Shannon Sharpe quite simply outgrew the show, and there was significantly more money available for Shannon Sharpe if he were to leave Undisputed and potentially sign with FanDuel TV. For instance, Pat McAfee was signed to a 4-year, $120 million contract with FanDuel TV, which he is now leaving in order to partner with ESPN. Andrew Marchand claims that Pat McAfee is getting paid $18 million a year from ESPN, but Pat McAfee's disputed that number. So that leaves a large sum of capital available to potentially make a big acquisition like Shannon Sharpe. And gaming companies like FanDuel TV are flushed with cash. Again, if you compare what Skip Bayless was making with Undisputed, which was $8 million a year for a 4-year, $32 million deal, in comparison to Pat McAfee, it's peanuts. Again, 4 years and $120 million is a large chunk of change. And this was my personal theory as to why Shannon Sharpe agreed to a buyout with Undisputed. There's no no reason to stay on when there's more money available to you elsewhere, and the possibility of having full creative control, especially if your podcast is popping off to the extent that Shannon Sharpe's was. So my theory is when Shannon Sharpe saw Pat McAfee leave FanDuel TV, he agreed to a buyout with Undisputed, which means he still had years left on his contract, but he bought himself out, so he's a free agent now. Clearly, Fox did not prepare for this, and clearly it was very abrupt. The way we could tell that there may have been tension behind the scenes as well is the fact that they didn't really have a contingency plan in place. Typically, whenever you want to leave, you may give like a 2 weeks notice or maybe even more, especially in this particular instance, to let the company know that, hey, I'm going to be gone. I'm sure you have the right things in place so this company could continue staying afloat once I'm gone. But if you pay attention to the time that Shannon Sharpe left, he left at quite possibly the worst time you could leave if you're a sports analyst, especially if you are on the #1 sports debate show in America. Why am I saying this? Well, Shannon Sharpe left when the NBA Finals concluded, right before the NBA draft, right before NBA free agency, right before the Los Angeles Lakers made a bunch of new moves, which I know I'm posting this on Mikerophone because currently the Flight Mike basketball channel has a lot going on there with all the free agency news. But in terms of sports debate shows, there's a lot to talk about, at least in terms of basketball, and Skip and Shannon, like myself, primarily focused on basketball and football. So the reason I'm mentioning this is Undisputed currently isn't on the air. Skip Bayless announced on his Instagram account that Undisputed will be back on August 28th. Originally, we thought that Skip Bayless was going to just have LaShawn McCoy replace Shannon Sharpe, and thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case. What seems to really be the case behind the scenes is Skip is struggling mightily to find a brand new replacement for Shannon Sharpe. So here's what the report looks like. Skip Bayless is taking a 2-month hiatus because he struggles to replace Shannon Sharpe. Shannon's exit moved way faster than he expected, so they had no choice but to go on hiatus, a source told FOS. Skip has never done anything like this during all of his years at FS1 or ESPN. Not being on the air during all of these NBA moves is killing him. A source added, this was so dumb. They had the best partner. There are 3 stars in morning debate: Skip, Stephen A, and Shannon. Fox had 2 of them. I think strictly this came down to money and creative control. Obviously, they couldn't come to an agreement. When you're Skip Bayless and you are responsible for elevating 2 of the 3 stars in morning debate, and you happen to be one of the 3 stars in morning debate, I guess that goes to your head a little bit. I guess at that point you're thinking,
hey, I could just find another person to elevate at this point.
And it didn't really occur to me that Undisputed was going to come back right in time for the NFL season, but right as the NBA offseason was ending. Which, by the way, to give you an idea of how crazy this NBA offseason has been, if you go look at the metrics on my Flight Mike basketball channel, thanks to you guys and those of you that support the basketball content, obviously we keep them separate for a reason. In the event that you're not interested in that content, we hit a brand new record high in viewership last month, 40 million views in 1 month, as a result of all the great stories that were out there, and as a result of your guys' great support and my team's incredible dedication, making sure we could get the content out to you guys as soon as we can. And I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this just to give a testament to how good of an off season it was and how many stories there were. So Skip not having a contingency plan in place to make sure that he was there for that time during one of the most overhyped NBA drafts that we have seen in quite some time, during one of the craziest free agency periods we have seen in some time, is definitely shocking. So what is Skip Bayless's plan now moving forward? Well, you can tell that this man is definitely going out sad, and I don't use that term lightly. Do you remember how Charles Barkley roasted Skip Bayless before the NBA Finals by saying this?
You read something.
I did. Okay. If you work with a damn idiot, they'll buy you out.
And that wouldn't be the only time Charles Barkley would roast Skip Bayless. He also had this occasion where he roasted Skip Bayless.
If I could get Skip Bayless in a room,
And there we
they
are.
need DNA to find who it was.
And Skip Bayless would clap back.
My theory is that deep down, Charles resents me because I all too often see and say things that he wishes he had seen and said. So I assume Charles will keep taking his shots because now I will no longer turn the other cheek as I did for 20 years. I no longer will let him get away with slinging mud whatever mud that he wants to sling.
But clearly, you don't need to be a genius to know that Charles Barkley doesn't really like Skip Bayless very much. Well, I don't know if this is Skip Bayless trolling. I don't know if he's just really desperate at this point, because I do believe that Skip Bayless does have the ability to create another awesome debate show. Problem is, who's the partner going to be? You can't just find anyone to do a debate show. Once ESPN noticed the formula for entertaining sports television was to get two individuals to yell at one another, they tried to repackage Undisputed and First Take like shows into many other shows with lesser known personalities, and to be honest, it didn't hit the same. So Skip Bayless understands that. Skip Bayless understands that his next partner is crucial to his success. It's the difference between people calling him an idiot for letting Shannon Sharpe leave, or calling him a genius for knowing that he had the capability to recreate magic a third time. To be honest, either instance could occur. We all know that Shannon Sharpe is a superstar in the world of daily sports commentary, and whoever is able to acquire him has a hell of a talent. But you also have to admit, Shannon Sharpe wasn't where he was today in 2016. As a matter of fact, his career was kind of trending downward as a result of CBS not necessarily putting him in the best spots to succeed. There are some issues behind the scenes as well. I don't want to get into that, but it seems like Skip Bayless doesn't care that Charles Barkley hates his guts, because Skip Bayless quite literally begged Charles Barkley to join his show. Watch.
Charles Barkley would be my dream debate partner.
I don't know if he's trolling. A part of me thinks he's trolling, but here's another snippet from his.
I would dive out of bed every morning out here in Los Angeles at 2 o'clock in the morning to get to work with Charles.
And if that didn't convince you, well, look at this.
What a joy it would be to do battle every day with Charles Barkley live on television. Come be this damn idiot's debate partner. Please let me annihilate you on a daily basis.
So what do I think about this? Well, let's break this down. A lot of us know what Charles Barkley does. He is one of the main analysts on Inside the NBA with TNT. He recently agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that is expected to be well into 9 figures. Barkley currently has 3 years left on a contract that pays him $10 million per season. His current contract coincides with TNT's agreement with the NBA deal expiring after the 2024 to 2025 season. If Turner were not to keep the NBA, Barkley could potentially own rights to go work for another network or a digital platform if Amazon or Apple or others are involved. It also mentions that the exact amount Barkley will make is not yet known if he fulfills the entire contract, but it will be in the excess of $100 million and could approach $200 million. And Barkley could decide to retire from TV before the deal ends. So do I think Charles Barkley would entertain this? Well, the man doesn't necessarily look like he is starving for money, if we're being honest, to the point where he would work with a man that he just doesn't like, or at least doesn't respect. But would it make for very entertaining television? Yes. And is this an indication that Skip Bayless knows what it's going to take in order to make Undisputed successful once Shannon Sharpe departs? Yeah, I agree. We've seen failed attempts at replacing partners before, man. You guys saw what First Take did to replace Skip Bayless once he left by bringing in Max Kellerman. And although there were some good moments during that stint,
I want Iguodala. That's right.
It obviously didn't last, as Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith would eventually break up. Let me know in the comment section down below what do you guys think about all this. Do you think Skip Bayless will be able to resurrect Undisputed? Do you think his hubris is going to get the best of him? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Before we go, I wanted to let you guys know that we finally made a new Snapchat. It's called Flight Mike Snap. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.